All right, in the next few minutes, you're going to fully understand the AI slop era. All right, super important, especially with things now like Sora 2 coming out, VO, and also the outputs and the efficiency that these LLMs are at. A lot of things are starting to change. Social media, whether you're a content creator or not, your life will be impacted by AI slop. All right, so we're going to talk about how artificial intelligence right now is transforming information quality online. Super important. In the next few minutes, we're going to kind of breaking this down. Okay, so you need to fully understand this. This is super important, and it's only going to keep continuing until something changes. Okay, so just for right now, we're going to talk about the rise of AI bots. Why not? Every metric is true. AI content saturation, whether you are a content creator or just on these platforms, quality and quantity dilemma, the misinformation amplification, the emergence of AI news sites, which is crazy, and then protecting human creativity because that is what matters. Now, let's start here. So the internet is obviously changing from the simple days to now obviously being able to whip up Jake Paul's face. He's actually an investor in OpenAI, and he did 1 billion views with the beta of Sora 2. So it has real impact. And it's getting really crazy because you can just go on these sites. You can use VO3 and just produce some content that could be real or not real. But there is going to become a saturation point, and it's up to obviously the platforms. And one thing you do have to realize is that the platforms are incentivized to make money for their holders, for their stakeholders, their shareholders. And the way they're going to do that is obviously by having more output on their channel, on their platforms, right? Because right now it's the attention game. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they go about all this AI slop. So obviously the saturation point here, it's AI generated content flooding digital platforms. And again, they actually are incentivized to continue this type of behavior, which is the crazy part. And then invisible infiltration. So most users are starting to now not be able to distinguish from real or AI. All right. Obviously, if you're in kind of the space, you can kind of tell. But the voice, especially, it's getting good. It's not there just yet. That's kind of the main giveaways, but it is getting there, and it's fooling actually a lot of seniors. All right, and then there's going to be fundamental shifts. So information spreading quality permanently is going to be altered as we know it. Okay, so just some stats to really break things down so that you understand what is really taking place. So bots now dominate the internet. All right, it's been going on for a long time now. There's a big debate about it, but for the first time in like a decade, automated traffic has surpassed human activity. So just some numbers here. All web traffic is is bots basically. It's 51%. Okay, automated bots. This was taken in 2024. It's probably more now. All right, so 37% is just bad activity. All right, that's up obviously 32% in 2023, and then 6 consecutive years it's been growing. Okay, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. All right, that's what we have to realize. Okay, so just crazy stats there, and this is kind of what we're seeing right now, kind of across the landscape. Again, I don't know everything. I'm not perfect. This is just what I have seen. Some things I have seen, in the space, whatever. There's kind of some pillars that we're starting to see AI really take form. It's e-commerce, obviously, so you have fake product reviews. A lot of people now are just using these LLMs or these tools to just produce a ton of creative, right? So now you just flood the market with a bunch of creative. Social media, so inauthentic posts driving engagement metrics. Again, just this, just not the greatest quality stuff, but it's just being again pushed at the algo. News sites, so we have articles containing subtle inaccuracies, which is crazy because obviously these LLMs do hallucinate. And then if you're just not checking it, or you just don't care to check it, then you have basically misinformation on the internet. All right, same thing with publications. So we have books flooding online platforms because you can go to the LLM again and get a PDF basically done for you in 10 minutes, and you can put it out. Right, streaming, so AI generated music. a 50 Cent, I believe it went viral because it was just switched for basically classic music or just kind of jazz, and it absolutely blew up. All right, and then search results, AI written articles dominating rankings, and there was at one point I believe Google actually um, cracked down on it a little bit. But those are kind of some of the pillars in the online space that we're seeing AI really come in and start affecting things. Okay, so I mean, one of the main things too is like good enough isn't good enough. Okay, so right now it's like it was one on one versus like human to human, right? So if you have more skill set, if you have the equipment perfect, you're probably going to be more favored. Now it's just like the stuff has to be top tier. If you don't have like a 4K camera, and I would say it's probably the contrast, I believe, will probably make more sense, where people will want to see just like someone holding a phone. Because it's not, and that's what you see kind of work right now with creatives in the e-com space, because you actually want to connect with humans instead of just seeing slop or seeing just this AI spun content. Um, but really, right now, as there's just arbitrage opportunity, good enough isn't good enough, right? So right now, content is optimized for engagement, clicks, algorithm performance, and volume over value, right? And instead, what it should be optimized for is truth and accuracy, obviously, depth and originality, which will win, I think, in the end, potentially. And then obviously the human value, which is super important, and that's why basically I'm saying eventually you're gonna want to see someone just kind of hang out, hold the phone up, and talk to you like a normal human being, like you would with one of your friends. All right, so there's some things to take into consideration. Ultimately, there's kind of like misaligned incentives. So it's like creating content costs almost nothing now. Again, if you just hop on VO3, if you use ChatGPT, whatever the case may be, it's like you're paying $0. All right, but attention is still valuable. So there's a misalignment between inputs and outputs. So I can input all like there's no bottleneck anymore when it comes to my input. And so we're basically in an arms race to produce as much content as possible, as cheaply as possible. And again, this favors pretty much the entire system. That is the problem. Facebook, if they keep making money from everyone just going in on this type of content, they're not going to want to take this content off, right? So that's going to obviously disrupt current content creators and other people who are trying to grow a following or trying to make a few dollars online, okay? So this also is pretty common what we're seeing around the kind of landscape. It's how false information becomes truth. This is kind of what we were talking about before, but this is pretty much what is taking place. So we have, generation. So we have AI creates content with false information, hallucinates, no one really checks it, there's no human in the loop. We put it on certain publications or whatever the case may be. You put it out on the internet, right? Content gains views and engagement. Perfect. That becomes somewhat true, or at least people are talking about it. I know a lot of seniors, they'll see something, they'll start talking about it, and then you realize it's actually AI generated. All right. And then discovery. So next, AI finds this as a source. And again, one of the big things that or it's going to be a bit of a bottleneck for AI is actually data. There's not enough data. There's not enough energy to go around at the moment. That's why everyone's putting up data centers, and they're investing lots of money, a ton of money into data centers because you need more data. There's not enough data. So who's going to create data? Obviously, yes, we have created data over history, of course, but when AI has consumed it all, who's going to start making more data? We make it too slow. So AI, I have no idea how that plays out. I don't know if AI creates its own data, backed by hopefully cited sources and right information. But nonetheless, AI finds this as a source, and then it's going to start reinforcing it. So misinformation spreads and multiplies. That is the problem. That's kind of the flywheel effect that's taking place right now, especially when no one is, there's no human in the loop or no one's saying, hey, that doesn't really make much sense. Right? And that's why you have this e-com space blowing up, because you can put out a health video spun up by VO3 and all these other tools, and then suddenly you have people spending their dollars on just misinformation. All right. Then obviously we have saturation. So original error becomes impossible to trace. All right, and it just continues. And then that's kind of farther in the future, but just things to consider. Okay, within our AI slop era. So check this out. AI generated news sites are multiplying. So there's 1,200 plus AI generated news sites published in 16 languages. That's the problem as well. It just multiplies like a disease, right? So it's 20x the growth rate. Right, so we have legitimate sounding names, right? So it all makes sense. There's professional appearance. I can dress or clothe the individual to my liking. Minimal human oversight, kind of the biggest issue. And then publishing false claims at scale was also the major issue. All right, now let's talk about when AI sounds right even when it's wrong. So I mean, again, the issue here is AI presents information with equal authority, whether correct or completely false. When it hallucinates, it sounds right. When it is right, it sounds right. So it's very hard to distinguish unless you really know the topic that you're asking about, which most of us do not. So there's confident assertion. So AI states incorrect information with complete certainty, and it's hard for us to distinguish that. And let's be honest, most of us don't actually want to go to the work to find the actual truth, and so we just take it verbatim. We go, okay, that's the truth, right? Then we have error caught. So user identifies a mistake. AI apologizes profusely. All right. Immediate repeat. So AI makes similar mistakes moments later. Again, it's almost like a human where there's multiple tasks to be done, and they do all tasks, but maybe this one task over here wasn't complete. A 10 out of 10. So you ask it to redo it, but it starts making other mistakes as well, which happens. The problem is this is happening at scale, right? And then the reality is there's no actual understanding or consciousness pattern matching that excels at sounding knowledgeable. So sure they have guardrails, sure they have barriers. That's understandable. But they don't really have anything like that when it comes to just ChatGPT saying stuff. That's why the hallucinations are such an issue, and that's why if you can become better at prompting, you can avoid some of that and just get better prompts. Okay. So this is kind of the challenge for real creators, for people trying to make money online. So quality content, kind of just a breakdown. It takes time, right? It requires expertise, like I was saying earlier. Needs resources, maintains integrity. AI slop is just instant creation, so you can spin it up all day long. Near zero cost, very cheap, and they're only going to get cheaper. High volume and algorithm optimized. All right, that's the problem. So the risk, again, good enough crowds out genuinely valuable work. But I do think people will start seeking and craving that genuine work. All right, maybe not just yet because it's just so novel, but eventually they will. So number one, this is kind of the takeaways here. Number one, be skeptical, question sources, and verify claims to your best ability. Seek transparency, support other creators who disclose their process because everyone has their own unique process. Prioritize quality. Quality always matters, even if you are using these LLMs. Strive for quality. Vote with attention. Your attention shapes the internet's future, which is very important. And then support real creators, obviously. Now, if you do want to learn how to improve your prompting to make this whole system a lot easier and to make your quality work stand out even more, and how to be more efficient with AI, there's a video I just created that helps you use ChatGPT 5 a lot better. Okay, because if you are stuck and you think that ChatGPT 5 is not like ChatGPT 4 and is quote unquote broken, like I've been hearing for a very long time now, watch this video because this will fix your prompting with ChatGPT 5 and put you ahead of your competitors.